Welcome back to The Critique. We have a submission today with some serious ambition.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's built around two huge philosophical ideas. First, that you shouldn't try to escape the matrix, but instead you should exploit it.
And second?
Second, that solitude is the key, the evolutionary trigger to actually make that happen.
High concept stuff.
Absolutely. So let's get straight into the argument itself.
Okay. So right out of the gate, I felt like the piece was relying on me to do a lot of the heavy lifting, specifically with definitions.
You're talking about the elephant in the room.
I am.
The term the matrix.
Exactly. That's the first major hurdle. The entire opening argument, it hinges on this concept, but the author just uses it as shorthand without really defining any of the parameters.
But is that really a problem, though? I mean, it's 2026. Everybody knows what the matrix implies, right?
Do they?
It's the system, the grind, the constructed reality. Why make the author kill a darling that works so well?
Because vibe isn't enough when you're building a life philosophy. The problem isn't that people don't recognize the term. The problem is that they recognize it too well, but in like 20 different ways.
Okay, go on.
If I say the matrix to a crypto guy, he thinks I'm talking about fiat currency.
Right.
If I say it to a sociologist, she thinks I mean cultural hegemony. Say it to a YouTuber, and they might think you're talking about, I don't know, lizard people.
Fair point. So by leaving it so open, you're saying the author accidentally invites all the reader's own baggage into the text?
Precisely. The text loses control. And if the reader defaults to a sci-fi trope or some conspiracy, then that really profound point about using the system, well, it just collapses.
It starts to sound like fan fiction instead of a tactical manifesto.
Exactly. The advice, use the system to your favor, means absolutely nothing if we don't know which system we're even talking about.
Okay, so let's workshop this. If you were editing this, would you just tell them to cut the term entirely, or is there a way to, keep the cool factor but fix the precision?
Oh, you can definitely keep the hook, but you have to ground the metaphor right away.
In the very next sentence.
Yes. Strip away that sci-fi ambiguity. We need to know the boundaries of the cage before we can talk about how to leverage it.
So give me an example. How does the author pivot from that pop culture hook to the actual sociology?
Let's brainstorm. If what the author really means is money and labor, they could reframe the matrix as something like the algorithmic social contract.
Or the corporate consumer loop? I like that. It implies a cycle.
Right. And just think about how that one change, that definition, changes the advice.
Okay.
If we define the matrix as the global financial economy, then use it to your favor becomes a guide to financial leveraging, to investing.
It's a book about wealth.
Exactly. But if they define it as, say, social status games,
Then using it is more like social engineering, networking, brand building. It's a book about influence.
that is a massive distinction, isn't it?
Yeah, one is The Wolf of Wall Street, and the other is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
And right now, the reader has no idea which book they're holding. The author has to plant a flag. I just want a sentence that says, when I say matrix, I mean the invisible web of economic incentives that governs your daily labor.
Boom. Done.
Now I know the rules of the game.
Right. It anchors the whole argument. But okay, once we know what the system is, the text pivots to the solution. To solitude. The submission says, solitude is the path to the new human evolution.
Which is a beautiful poetic line.
It is, but I kind of stumbled on the evolution part. It just feels lofty.
It's a huge claim. And that brings us to the second major point of critique. We need to establish the causal mechanism.
What's missing for you there?
The how. The text treats solitude like it's a magic box. You put a human in, close the lid, wait a bit, and pop, out comes an evolved human.
Uh-huh.
But why? What is physically or psychologically happening in that silence that triggers this upgrade?
Well, isn't the implication just that you're thinking? You're clearing your head?
See, that's the guidance counselor version. Go have some quiet time, it's good for you. It's weak.
Right.
If you're going to use a word like evolution, which takes, millions of years and immense biological pressure, you need a mechanism of action. Otherwise, it's just a platitude.
So how do you make that rigorous?
We're not writing a biology textbook here, but we need something stickier than just quiet time.
I think the author should look at something like the incubator theory. Frame solitude not as an absence of people, but as a sterilization chamber for your ideas.
Explain that a little more.
Okay, so when you're in the matrix, let's say we defined it as the social feedback loop, you are constantly being infected by mimetic desire. You want things because other people want them.
You think things because the algorithm fed them to you.
Precisely. When you enter true solitude, you are severing those inputs. You're decoupling. That decoupling is the mechanism. It allows for cognitive mutations, ideas that are actually yours, to survive, because they aren't being crushed by the herd.
I like that a lot. It turns solitude into an active decontamination process, not just sitting in a room.
Exactly. Or if they want to get even more concrete, they could go to the neuroscience.
Oh, okay.
Bring in the default mood network.
We see that term thrown around a lot. For the sake of the author and our listeners, how does that actually help the argument here?
Think of it like this. Your brain has a PR manager.
Okay.
That's the default mode network. It's scanning for social threats, it's checking your status, worrying about what people think. It's defensive. And as long as that PR manager is screaming, you are trapped in the social matrix.
And solitude?
Solitude effectively fires the PR manager.
And that lets who in?
The creative director, the pattern matcher. There's actual research that suggests that only when that social processing part of the brain shuts down can deep, abstract pattern recognition turn on.
So the author could say something like, solitude suppresses the social processing centers of the brain, allowing the creative centers to hijack your reality tunnel.
Yes, and suddenly, evolution feels tangible. It feels biological.
It moves from a spiritual metaphor to a user manual for your brain. Here's how to install the upgrade.
Correct. And that specific mechanical explanation is what earns the author the right to use a word as big as evolution.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. So we fixed the definition of the matrix, and we've explained how solitude works. But as I was reading the submission, these two concepts, they felt like they were living on different planets.
That's the structural weakness. Absolutely. You've got the matrix strategy on page 1 and the solitude hypothesis on page 2, but they aren't talking to each other.
It feels like two separate tweets that just got pasted into the same document.
And that just kills the momentum. If they're not connected, they're just observations. But if you connect them, they become a methodology.
Right now, the reader is left guessing. Is solitude the tool you use to master the matrix? Or are they two separate things?
So we have to bridge that gap. The author has to structure the work so that solitude is the prerequisite for the strategy.
It has to be step one.
You have to frame it explicitly. You cannot execute the strategy of using the system while you're drowning in it.
That makes perfect sense. You can't read the label from inside the bottle.
Exactly. So you frame solitude as the control room. The author needs to walk us through the sequence. Step 1, you're a cog in the machine. Step 2, you step into solitude, the control room, to see the gears, to understand the algorithm, to detach.
And step 3 is you re-enter the matrix.
That re-entry is the key, isn't it?
It is. Most matrix stories are about leaving and never coming back. You go to Zion, or the woods, or a cave.
And that's where this piece is actually quite brilliant if it can just land the execution. It's a hero's journey where the hero returns.
So the protagonist enters solitude not to escape, but to train.
Yes, they return to the matrix, not to fight it, but to conduct it, like an orchestra.
Solitude is the training ground, the matrix is the playing field.
I love that. And that distinction integrates the 2 points into one single arc.
But this leads us to the final, and I think probably the most difficult challenge.
The promise of utility.
Use the system to your favor. Usar el sistema a tu favor.
That is a check that the text has to cash.
If I buy into this idea, I expect to walk away with a tool I can use on Monday morning.
And right now, the draft fails that test.
Don't escape, exploit is a fantastic hook. It's provocative, it's counterintuitive, but it creates this massive demand for practical application. The reader's there, nodding along, shouting, "Yes, tell me how."
And if the text stays philosophical,
Then the reader feels tricked. They came for a strategy and they got a poem.
exactly.
So let's write the how-to section for them. How do we move from philosophy to pragmatism without it turning into, a boring 7 habits listicle?
You need case studies, or at the very least, archetypes.
The author needs to show us what this actually looks like in the wild. Contrast two characters.
Okay, go on.
Character A is the escapist. He hates the Matrix. He moves to a cabin in Montana, grows potatoes, disconnects. He's free, technically.
But he has no leverage, no influence.
And he's probably miserable when winter hits.
Okay, and character B?
Character B is the infiltrator. Let's call him Dave. Dave works in HR at some massive tech company. He is deep in the Matrix. But Dave has used Solitude to detach his identity from his job. He sees the corporate structure as a game board.
He's not stressed by office politics. He studies them.
Right. He earns the high salary extracting resources from the Matrix. And he uses that capital to fund his real work, maybe a community garden or his art. He is in the world, but not of it.
Dave sounds like a secret agent.
That is exactly the vibe the author should be aiming for, the Trojan horse strategy.
I love that. So, concretely, what are the rules for being a Trojan horse? The author should give us a checklist.
I think 3 specific rules for appearing compliant while remaining sovereign would work.
Okay.
Rule 1, master the language. You have to speak the dialect of the Matrix, corporate jargon, financial literacy, so the system lowers its immune response to you.
So you don't get rejected by the host body.
Right. If you talk about escaping the simulation, you get fired. If you talk about maximizing synergies, they give you a raise.
Okay, what's rule 2?
Rule 2, automate the drudgery. Use the tools of the Matrix, AI, software, delegation, to buy back your time. And Rule 3, divert resources. Every dollar you extract from the system goes toward building your Solitude infrastructure.
That turns the whole philosophy into a heist movie. We're going in to get the resources to build our own evolution.
It creates a feedback loop. You infiltrate to fund your evolution. You evolve to become a better infiltrator.
I have to play devil's advocate, though. Is there a risk here? If you tell people to fake it inside the system, doesn't that just lead to cynicism? Doesn't Dave just become a sociopath who's using everyone?
That is a profound risk. And that is exactly why the Solitude piece is so necessary. If you just try to exploit the system without the evolution of character that comes from that solitude, you just become another shark in the tank. You become Agent Smith.
I see. So solitude is what keeps you human while you're operating the machine.
It's the moral tether. Without it, the strategy of using the system is just corruption. With it, it's liberation. The author has to make that distinction crystal clear.
This really stitches the whole thing together then. It moves from here are 2 interesting thoughts to here is a complete way of being in the world.
And that's the difference between a journal entry and a published work. A journal entry explores. A published work guides. The reader wants to be transformed, and they need the specific steps to do it.
The definitions, the mechanisms, the connections, and the tactics.
All of it.
Okay, so let's recap the roadmap for the author. We have a 4-step renovation plan for this draft.
Step 1. Define the matrix. Be rigorous. Don't let the reader guess. Tell us if we're fighting the economy or the culture, and then stick with it.
Step 2. Give us the mechanism. Stop treating evolution like a magic trick. Use the incubator theory or neuroscience to explain how solitude actually upgrades the mind.
Step 3 is synthesis. Connect the islands. Solitude is the training camp. The matrix is the battlefield. You need one to survive the other.
And step 4, tactics. Give us the Trojan horse manual. Show us the difference between the guy who runs away and the guy who stays to hack the mainframe. Give us the rules.
If the author does those 4 things, this isn't just a submission anymore. It's a manifesto for the modern age.
The core idea is incredibly strong.
It is. People feel trapped, and they don't want to just drop out. They want to win. The foundation is there. It just needs the architectural framing to hold the weight of these big ideas.
I honestly can't wait to read the rewrite.
Me too. This is the kind of thinking we need right now.
We really encourage the listener to take these lenses, definitional precision, mechanical explanation, synthesis, and pragmatism, and apply them. Flesh it all out, draw the lines between the concepts, and submit the work back in.
Absolutely. Don't escape the editing process. Use it to your favor.
Well said. That wraps up this critique. We look forward to seeing the next iteration.